Hey, deserving listeners, the ultimatum. Let's see what happens.
But like, since you didn't try to delve into it, I didn't want to delve into it.
But I did. How did I not try and delve into it? Like, I feel like year after year, I would like bring it up to hear now that you like want this. It's like, I don't know what to even do with the information.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing that some people in the audience, and maybe they're right, would interpret this as Vanessa playing a game, that Vanessa just wants to get Xander back into her claws and is not sincere or doesn't know she's not sincere, and 6 months from now, Vanessa will return to her old position that she doesn't want to get married and have kids. So there's that. Who knows? But I could also see a world in which for Vanessa, having this mindset of not wanting to commit and feeling like that she's not made to commit was actually just a defense from the fear of losing someone and the fear of being abandoned. And then, but having Xander constantly always there never gave Vanessa the opportunity to really explore what it was like to truly not have Xander, you know? And then discovers, oh, actually, maybe I do want to be with Xander. And then Vanessa changes. I also understand where Xander's coming from of like, well, yeah, this is what I always wanted to hear, but I don't know what to make of that. I'm guessing Xander's thinking, is this real? Or is this just a fake version of Vanessa? Or, why did you change? So I think Vanessa, if it's within her to explain, she should explain. Oh, she's like, yeah, okay, well, let me tell you, like, how I came to this decision, because it's not just this flippant thing that I'm trying on, or it's not a reaction to worrying about seeing you with Yoli. Like, I'm not doing this out of jealousy and out of desire to control you or not lose you. It's because I actually want this for myself. So if that's in there, Vanessa should say that.
They sit lower than I thought they were going to. And I think that we have a lot to work on and a lot to uncover the next few weeks.
What physical level did you reach with Yoli?
I think that was edited. It looked like a non sequitur. If it wasn't edited, that was a non sequitur. But I'm guessing the conversation was much longer and they just sort of shoved those two things together. And that would be, a relevant question. Xander could absolutely say, I don't want to get into that. I could see both sides. If your partner, your loved one, got together with someone and was intimate, and although for Vanessa, she seemingly was indicating that she's okay with that kind of, anyway, let's see how this goes.
I mean, we did have sex.
Like with mouths?
I mean,
I do want specifics.
I don't want to.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly within Xander's rights. And I can imagine Xander's thinking, well, one, it's private not only to me, but to Yoli, and we're on camera, so I'd rather not have that revealed. Presumably their entire sexual encounter and all of them were filmed the entire time, which I just find to be not pleasant to think about. I suppose they consented to it, but that doesn't seem necessary, right? Do we have to invade that privacy as well? So for not that it should be stigmatized, sex positivity, I guess I'm saying from the beginning, how do they feel about it? I could even imagine some of them are like, oh, it's kind of kinky. I like that people are watching. That's what I want. There's nothing wrong with that. But I just really want to know how they feel. And we know that sometimes they're coerced or pressured into things that they didn't originally sign off on. It wasn't emphasized to them that would be there. And by the time you're in that situation, you're just like, well, I'm kind of bought into the situation, and there's that $50,000. And I don't know if that's in the contract against them, but we can imagine, since I think it's the same production company. Anyway, so for Xander, I can imagine that would be a private thing. Also, I can imagine that Xander would say, well, if I answer this question, at some point I'm going to have to draw a boundary, because are you just going to ask me for everything? Because I don't think that's okay. I don't want to do that. I don't see a point in that. Just know that we had sex a number of times, and let's just have that be that. I understand where Vanessa's coming from. It's normal to want to know some details, but the situations where I'm at when I'm working with people clinically is when there's infidelity. This isn't infidelity. So I'm trying to think if I've been in a situation where someone would have said, well, yeah, so there have been clients who might reveal, so that friend of mine that you see every once in a while, well, before you and I were together, I got together with them a long time ago, but it was just a one night thing or whatever. And then the other partner might start asking, okay, what did you do? And it's based on this desire to get information because it feels like it would be helpful to know, or it would be stabilizing, or it would be some reassurance. Sometimes people. So I guess that is important to mention, is that often the motivation for Vanessa's questions is this a threat? How do I compare? Is often a question. Because so you were with Yoli and Vanessa's asking mouth stuff and wondering, does that make me less of an appealing person in bed? Did Yoli do things that I don't do very well? How do I compare? And so that's a normal insecurity. Not everyone is insecure about that. Some people are socialized to believe that they have to be the best and that they are less of a human being if they're not the best in their partner's eyes. It's a bit of a ridiculous thing, right? That somehow the current person that you're with is the absolute best of all time. Now, if that's true, then that's true. And for some of us, we might just rewrite history subconsciously or consciously because we want to believe that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But anyway, so it could be motivated by that. And if that is the case, then Xander, if detecting that, again, if I were there, I might ask these questions. And then Xander could say, look, I don't want to get into the specifics, but just know that I love you and I love having sex with you, and let's just have it be that. And I'm not going to think back on my times with Yoli. I'm with you, and I love you, and I'm attracted to you, and you and I have great sex, and let's just move forward with that.
I don't want to do that, if that's okay with you.
It's not okay with me. This is part of something that I need to face now, and I feel like I deserve to know.
No, there's no deserve there. If Xander had cheated, then maybe. Obviously, there's no law declaring that as an entitlement, but under most cultural circumstances, if you're trying to win back someone's trust and you're coming hat in hand saying, please take me back, then you might have to give in on some boundaries that you would otherwise keep. And you might have to talk about things in specifics that as a cheater, you'd rather not talk about. But this isn't cheating. This is essentially, I guess the most common thing would be that this is a previous relationship, right? I guess technically it is, right? Because they broke up, technically, they divorced, technically. And of course, I don't think anyone feels that way about it. So yeah, Vanessa isn't entitled to that. So let's see what Xander says.
That's what you want to know and talk about.
How is that not a normal thing to want to know? And more than once?
Yeah. I don't know. Like at some point I was just like, fuck it. Like I might as well just like let go and just like do this thing. And I did. And it felt good. It felt good to be real with myself and
good for Xander. It's like, okay, you want to know the truth? I'll tell you the truth. I won't go into details on the sexual acts, but I'll tell you the whole emotional road I went on because it's my road and not my and Yoli's road. So it felt freeing. I'm guessing, given Vanessa's state, that this is going to be triggering to Vanessa, but I think Vanessa is capable of pulling out of the nose, but I don't know. Let's see what happens.
To really figure out what I wanted.
I'm gonna sit in your lap, okay? Because I know this hurts on both of us.
They're playing the ominous music, which of course influences and manipulates the audience. I wish they would do that. It's edited, of course, but if I ignore the manipulation of the music, there's nothing wrong. They're in their trial marriage is happening right now. They're married in essence. So it's fine for Vanessa to want to have contact with her partner and to sit in Xander's lap. And so that's normal. And also it's functional under worried, because I was worried that because I'm pretty sure Vanessa was wanting to know that information because Vanessa was scared of losing Xander or scared of not measuring up in Xander's eyes. And so I was worried that that was going to go down that road. And so for Vanessa, I think she might have noticed, oh, I think I just feel distant and I'm scared. And if I just have contact with Xander, I'll be able to calm down, which is a good move. On the other hand, is this just some sort of weird, controlling, dominant, physical move? Let's see how Xander reacts.
But I love you.
Yeah, why the manipulative, ominous music? Xander wants to be with Vanessa. Now, maybe I'll know something, and Xander later comes out and says, I'd been abused the entire time with Vanessa, and maybe the producers know that, so they're playing the ominous music, but I don't appreciate, at least at this phase, the manipulation. Xander wants to be, I'm saying this out loud because I have to push against the manipulation. Xander has stated positively that Xander wants to be with Vanessa, and Vanessa wants to be with Xander. Xander is confused because there's a lot of new revelations and a lot of changes, and there's just a lot. It's overwhelming, right? But I'm guessing underneath it all, Xander's like, but this is what I wanted. I dragged Vanessa on this show, probably not kicking and screaming because Vanessa likes to be in front of the camera, but I am the one giving the ultimatum, and it worked for me. Vanessa did exactly what I was hoping, so yippee-ki-yay. Well, yip, hooray, hip, hooray. But I'm kind of experienced like, so, why the ominous music? I don't get it. In one way, you could see it. There could be this like celebratory music, unless I'm missing something, unless this goes in a direction that is different, which could happen. But I don't know. I just don't appreciate the music. You just could have had no music and said, look, the audience can take of it what they will.
Do you love Yoli?
I don't know. I missed you. I missed you too.
So they edited that as well. They inserted this weird non sequitur question. Did you love Yoli? And Xander says, I don't know. Presumably that happened at a completely different point. Who knows if even those two phrases were in the same. I think their principle on this show, they have this unspoken or even a spoken policy that when they identify the hated character on the show, someone that they want to scapegoat, a cast member, the editor who knows how to manipulate the audience is pulled into the editing room. I'm guessing there have got to be dozens of editors because the amount of footage that they have to pour through, it's just enormous. If you work in that field, I mean, I in a sense kind of do because I create content. Believe it or not, I film a lot of stuff when I'm making these videos, and I cut a lot of stuff out because there's a lot of boring bits and also just a lot of suddenly I have to go to the bathroom and I leave the camera on or something. And so there's a lot of editing, and I know enough about documentaries because essentially that's what this is in that vein. Because with scripting, you can literally turn the camera on just before action. With these kinds of things, you're just shooting, waiting for something to happen, knowing that a 5-hour interaction with multiple cameras, mind you, there's 3 cameras all filming at the same time. And so this one scene could have been 2-3 hours or longer. Sometimes you'll hear from cast members, it's like, we were sitting on that couch for 10 hours and it was spread out over 3 different days, but they made it look like it was 5 minutes. And so you have to take all that and edit it down. And so they must pull in their really, that really good editor who knows how to really pull the strings of the audience, right? To think of what they did with Jackie, like that was masterful, really. It tricked me the first time I saw it. And even when Jackie claimed that it was a sneaky, deceiving edit, I went back and watched it and thought, well, I don't know. Could be, but it doesn't seem likely. The more I started watching it and I was making reaction videos, I was like, actually, there are some weird edits. If you really know what to look for, if you know how weird edits look, then there were a lot of that. And then we hear from Marshall saying that it was all false. And then you think, wow. So I think they have this principle, and we'll just watch that. It's sort of like watching a rom-com, eventually you're going to have that moment where the relationship falls apart for this extremely dubious reason. Because, of course, you can't hate the characters. You have to still like them because you want to celebrate when they get together at the end. But you have to have them break up so that they can have that moment where they get back together at the end. And so we know that there'll be that story beat. And here is that story beat. And we have to be highly suspicious of everything that we're seeing. Is there something wonky going on? Is there something nefarious going on? Could be, but there's no evidence of that. Do we think Xander is that stupid? Now, maybe, again, that later on Xander reveals, I was stupid, I was manipulated or something. But we don't have any reason to believe that now, and there's every reason to believe that Xander is smart and healthy and one of the healthiest people on this show. And so do we think that Xander is that stupid? That weak, not weak, but that gullible. And so why all this stuff? Again, I could be completely wrong, and I accept that. But I can only react to what I react to. And there's a lot of, I'm just going to say, a resentment that I have against these shows for screwing with me. They transgressed against me and you and everyone else when they just straight up lied. We buy into these shows because presumably they're at least somewhat close to reality. We understand that there's some edits, but don't fuck with us. You know what I mean? Stop it. There's drama here. There's real stories, and you don't have to treat us like we're I don't know what are they treating us like we're all Jerry Springer audience people or something. Like, we can handle real life and we can feel the drama. There's real drama. Anyway, so I think what really happened here is I'm angry. I am, and it's justified. It's an injustice. It ruins our experience. If we're going to grace you, Netflix, with watching this show and paying money for your streaming service, then stop fucking lying to us. How about that? Let us make our own choices. And people are being sacrificed on the altar of capitalism here. Vanessa, and by extension, Xander, I think, are being thrown under the bus in a severe way. I mean, people, their lives can be ruined for years and years because of a sneaky bad edit. Now, did Vanessa do actual problematic things? Yes. But since the trial marriages, there has not been that kind of behavior. And so I'm guessing that what they're thinking is, well, we have to keep the anger at Vanessa going, so we have to pull in that editor to massage this. Now, there's a possibility that they're actually downplaying how bad Vanessa is. I can't know, but I suspect it's something of the prior guess. Anyway, so looking at this through the edit, and I often am doing that, even when I don't think they're directly trying to manipulate me, I often have to, because I know that it's edited, I have to see okay, what's really happening for these individuals, because that makes it the most interesting, the most dramatic, is the reality of a reality show. And so I'm guessing seeing through the edit was that Vanessa still comes to the table with her issues, but they are not showing themselves as much because she's not as threatened, particularly now that Xander is saying that they want to be with Vanessa. But there's this thing about Yoli. There's this well, am I good? And Vanessa is not great at being vulnerable and not great at not knowing that she's afraid and hurt. So she kind of, in a not great way, starts to go after Xander. Tell me the truth. What happened? Xander draws a boundary. Vanessa respects that and then notices that she is really wanting to be with Xander, loves Xander. They've been together for 4 years, and is like, okay, let's put that behind us. But I just really want to connect with you. And they just got home from that. So this is their first intimate physical moment in a long time. And so Vanessa's thinking, well, okay, that's what I want. That's what I need. That's good. And Xander probably wants this from me. And so we can come together in this moment. And again, earlier on, there's this conversation about, do you love Yoli? And Xander, in her really healthy way, says, I don't know. I have feelings. Vanessa, in spite of that, is like, well, okay, let's move on to the future. And they are loving each other, but they insert all the bullshit, the editors, and they have the ominous music because they know it's going to work on the audience, and it's upsetting. So then we see that scene. God knows what was happening there. Did Xander just say, hey, I love you, I have to go to the bathroom? and gets up and walks off, or given the ominous music and the way they edited it, is that the way that they're trying to portray it as Xander is angry or disgusted or scared or something and is rejecting Vanessa in this moment. Now, maybe I'm giving the audience short shrift and everyone was like, meh, or maybe they even read it differently. The ominous music is like just tension of like suspense, what's going to happen. So I could just be making crap up. Sometimes I wish that I had this direct line to everyone else while they were watching this and be like, watching it at the same time me is like, okay, raise a hand. Who interprets this way? What are people feeling? Because I know that many heads are better than one, and I'm only one head. So God knows what this one head is perceiving and distorting. So, I don't know. And then, I don't know if it's on purpose, but they show gaslight lamps. It's some sort of nod or accident or whatever. Okay, well, let's adjourn there for today. And everyone, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.